I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But the problem is our communities are divided. For Asian Americans and for African Americans, we probably have one of the worst relationships between any community.
Well, I bet you a lot of Asian Americans too don't, in my experience, don't even realize that if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, there would not be 22 million Asian Americans in this country.
Thank you. What I have been trying to teach the Asian community is like, friends, do you understand that your success, your prosperity, your civil rights that you enjoy right now was paid for with black blood?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into an eye-opening conversation about unity among communities of color. In a recent interview, an Asian man made a powerful statement. The day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. But here's the catch. Our communities are divided, and he points out that the relationship between Asian Americans and African Americans is particularly strained. This discussion touches on history, identity, and the path forward. Let's break it down and explore the reactions.
You need to stop being anti-black towards black people in America. I mean, it's not that hard. All you have to do is have a little meeting with your said race and tell them to stop being anti-black towards black people. Like, are we serious right now? Like, everybody starts with us. And then when we as a whole clap back at everybody, white people, Asian people, don't matter. Now it's all about, like, that's not how that works. We were brought here literally against our own will. In the Americas, in the Caribbean, in Canada, Mexico, we were brought here against our will, right? The majority of other races chose to come here. The majority, yes, I'm aware that some Asians were enslaved and brought here to work on the railroads in the West. I get that. But outside of that, the vast majority of y'all chose to come here. So stop with this whole, we on the same boat. We all equal. We all equally go through the same thing. No, we do not. No, we do not. And that's no hate towards the Asian community. I love my Asian folks down. But stop the nonsense. Work on your community and tell them to stop being anti-black to us. When you guys owning your little corner stores and this, that, and the third, when you guys are owning your businesses and you see dark-skinned black folks, light-skinned black folks in general, whether they have cornrows, dreadlocks, whatever the case may be, walk into your establishments, okay? And you guys get a little bit of anxiety because we're wearing a shiesty or we're wearing a durag. Maybe you need to work on your internalized anti-blackness before you sit here and worry about how we react to it, respectfully. Then maybe, just maybe, we can work together and fight this big old oppressor of ours, right?
How's that going to happen when you groups of people, you Asian people, are helping Caucasian people steal the actual indigenous people who are the so-called Black Americans' identity? Plus, you're talking about Latinos who are the Valley Noble Lords of the Bodine Cane, who are the same people as the so-called Black Americans. You don't have your story straight. That's why we don't want to be a part of anything with you at all.
Sir, you are absolutely right. Once upon a time, we did embrace y'all. We embraced the Asian community. We embraced the Latino community. But y'all was anti-black. Y'all didn't want nothing to do with black people. We were good enough to spend our money in y'all stores, supporting y'all business. But when it came to black issues, y'all wanted nothing to do with it. So now that y'all on a chopping block with First Lady Donnie and President Musk, y'all want us to help y'all. Y'all talking about we would be the majority if we fought against the oppressors. And if we all realize that we all have the same oppressor. Oh, see, black people knew that all along. We tried to tell y'all. Y'all thought y'all was one of them. So now that they done showed you who they really were, now y'all want to come over here and sing "We Shall Overcome." Boo-boo. Sorry, we won't be doing that. Martin is resting in peace. Ain't nobody singing no Negro spirituals. We gonna mind our black ass business. That's what we gonna do. That's what we gonna do. So whatever First Lady Donnie choose to do while she clutching her pearls, and President Musk, y'all need to figure that out. That ain't got nothing to do with us. No. Because when we tried to invite y'all to the cookout, y'all gave us y'all behind the kiss. You don't like it now, do you? So, from here on out, leave us alone. With all due disrespect, fight your own damn battles. Y'all effed around. Now y'all about to find out. So, yeah.
Without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly
as the great Malcolm X used to say,
industry,
all power to my people, all power to my people.
Or just stop by. Granger.
Fight your own damn fight.
Get it done.
The interview you just watched offers an important and much needed perspective on the complex relationship between marginalized communities in the US, especially the relationship between African Americans and Asian Americans. The Asian man's comment, the day the Latino, African Americans, Asian and other communities realize they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning, is not just a powerful statement. It is a challenge to rethink how we view unity and division among groups that have faced different but intertwined struggles throughout history. At its core, this quote speaks to the concept of solidarity. Throughout history, oppressed communities, whether African Americans, Asian Americans, Latino Americans, or indigenous people, have all had to navigate the same systems of power, primarily dominated by wealthy elites and institutional forces that strive on division. These systems create a narrative that pits different groups against each other, while the real oppressors, those who control the media, the economy, and politics, remain largely unchallenged. The key takeaway here is that the longer these communities stay divided, the longer this oppressive system continues to strive. But why don't we see this solidarity happening more often? Why are we seeing instead growing tension between Asian Americans and African American communities? The answer lies in the historical context. These divisions have been manufactured over time, sometimes through deliberate actions, but often by unintended consequences of how communities have been portrayed or treated in American society. The strained relationship between Asian Americans and African Americans is a significant issue that has been simmering under the surface for decades. While have been periods of solidarity, such as the 1992 Los Angeles riots, where both groups came together in protest against injustice. There are also significant moments of tension, particularly around economic struggles and societal pressures. For example, during the rise of the model minority meant in the 1960s and 1970s, Asian Americans were often depicted as the success story of immigration. This stereotype not only overlooked the deep struggles within Asian Americans community, but also positioned them as a counterpoint to African Americans, who were often portrayed as unsuccessful or dependent on government aid. This comparison was a divisive tool used to distract from the real issue, especially the systemic racism African Americans were facing. Additionally, competition over resources, particularly in urban areas, has fueled animosity between the two groups. Many Asian-owned businesses in black neighborhoods became flashpoints for resentment, particularly when economic disparity led to feelings of exclusion and competition over limited opportunities. When businesses didn't hire locally, when Asians were perceived as profiting off black communities, this led to a breakdown in trust. While some of this resentment is rooted in history, there is a broader issue that both groups face, the challenge of battling the same systems of power that keep them marginalized. And this is where the interviewer's argument hits home. If both groups understood that their struggles were different, are connected by the same source of oppressor, they could stand together and be stronger. The problem is many Asian Americans, especially recent immigrants, don't fully recognize the interconnectedness. One of the most profound points the Asian man makes in the interview is that Asian Americans often fail to realize that their success today is in part due to sacrifice made by African Americans during civil rights movements. This is something that is often overlooked, but is critical to understanding how different groups have benefited from shared struggles. In the 1960s, the civil rights movement fought not only for African Americans' rights, but also set the stage for changes that allowed other marginalized groups, especially Asian Americans, to gain more political, social, and economic freedoms. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which opened the door for large-scale Asian immigrations, was passed largely due to the work done by civil rights leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and organizations advocating for racial equality. The struggle for equality for one group directly impacted the possibility for another. If it wasn't for the pressure exerted by the civil rights movement, the Asian American population in the US might not have reached the 22 million it stands at today. Yet, too often, this connection between the struggles of Black and Asian Americans is either forgotten or ignored. As the Asian man in the interview said, do you understand that your success, your prosperity, your civil rights that you enjoy right now were paid for with black blood? This is a critical point. When we fail to recognize this historical interdependency, we miss an opportunity to build the solidarity necessary to challenge the systems that continue to oppress all of us. At the same heart of this interview, the man is asking his fellow Asian Americans to acknowledge their history, not just their individual struggles. The plea is not just for recognition, but for a collective understanding that in order to move forward, we must recognize our fight for justice is interconnected. This isn't to say that each community's struggle is identical, but rather that when one group fights for justice, it opens the door for all marginalized communities to benefit. In reality, this kind of unity is difficult to achieve. The challenges each community faces are distinct. African Americans have a long history of systemic racism, from slavery to segregation to mass incarceration. Asian Americans often struggle with issues related to immigration, discrimination, and invisibility. Latino communities face both racial discrimination and challenges tied to immigration status. But despite this difference, the common enemy remains the same. System of oppression designed to keep the marginalized powerless. If we begin to see our struggles as interconnected, then our path forward becomes a clearer. The way forward, as this interviewer suggests, is through solidarity, not just in words, but in action. It requires each of us to actively work on understanding the struggles of the other. For Asian Americans, this means recognizing how African Americans paved the way for many of the freedoms we enjoy today. It also means acknowledging the anti-blackness that exists in parts of Asian communities and actively working to dismantle it. For African Americans, this means recognizing the unique struggles faced by Asian communities, especially when it comes to immigration and identity. Ultimately, it's about recognizing that all of us, regardless of our ethnicity, are fighting for the same thing: equality, justice, and the opportunity to strive without being held back by the constraints of race, class, and privilege. The sooner we realize that our struggles are linked, the sooner we can begin to build a stronger, more unified front. As the Asian man in the interview said, the day we realize we share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. This is a powerful reminder that our difference, though significant, should never divide us in the face of a common enemy. The fight for justice requires unity, understanding, and collective action. When the marginalized communities come together, whether African Americans, Asian Americans, Latino, or others, our collective strength has the power to challenge the system that keep us down. But first, we have to recognize that we share more than just a history of oppression. We share a future of possibility and change, if we are willing to stand together. This conversation is vital, and I'm eager to hear how you all feel about this. Do you think the shared history of oppressor can unite these communities, or is the divide too deep to overcome? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comment below. Let's share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.